Welcome back. We are live for another Monday night webinar. Tonight's all about building it bulletproof with my good buddy, Mr. Edward Pritchett. Edward, what's up, man? How you feeling?
Feeling good, man. Feeling really good. I love getting to do stuff like this where we're actually talking about how, not just for the insurance industry, but how people can just take entrepreneurship, which I mean, that's the fuel for America, right? Entrepreneurship, like it drives this country. It's where the majority of jobs are created. And if more people knew how to really make a small business grow into a medium-sized business, grow into a large-scale enterprise, we wouldn't have this like only 5% of businesses make it past 5 years, you know? And so this is just a small part. There's a lot of people that are teaching about this, but I love being able to contribute to this space, and especially for insurance agents, because we need to be thinking about what we do as a business a lot sooner than we actually do. I know that was true for this guy. So I'm hoping that this is able to help some people really make a move forward in what they're doing in their insurance practice.
I know it will, and I appreciate you being here. Also, you guys are jumping in, man. You guys are flying in. Look at you guys coming in, man. This is amazing. Appreciate you showing up. Step one of success is showing up. Edward shows up every single day. There may have been days back at Yale University when he didn't want to show up and go to class, which I can relate to. And ever since he's been showing up ever since. Well, dude, if we don't let you get rolling, you will be here all night because I know we have a ton of content. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to spotlight you, make you the host, take it away, and you guys give Edward some love and say hello in the chat. Have an amazing webinar.
Thank you, sir. Well, good evening to every single one of you. Thank you for joining. And those who watch this in the future, the whole goal of this webinar today, that the title is Build It Bulletproof. And we're talking about your business, right? Like, here's the thing with business, with any kind of venture that you get started with, it's going to come under attack. Bullets will fly. I don't know any way else to put it. I don't care whether it's a business, whether it's starting your family, whether it's, I want to build a house. I want to, go run a triathlon. I want to do something. Guess what? It's going to be attacked by something, right? Sometimes that something is people close to you. Sometimes it's external. Sometimes, actually, most of the times it's internal, right? Like there's those internal shots that you're actually taking at yourself that's preventing you from being able to scale and grow whatever it is that you're trying to do into the thing that you want it to be. So that's the ideal behind this. And so what I'm going to do, I really want to keep this very succinct. The great thing that we're going to be doing after this is just the kickoff to a series of webinars that I'm going to be doing. I appreciate Cody for helping me get this message out there with this first one. After this, we're going to be doing more in-depth into the different aspects and parts that I'm going to discuss. So today is just going to be a high level, a general overview, some pointers, right? Some guideposts to point you towards. You have to be the one to actually go dig in and pull out all the knowledge that you need. Okay. Everything, this is not, we can't get exhaustive about how to build a bulletproof business in 1 hour on a Monday night. Okay. But I can point you in the right direction. And if you just commit to yourself and say, you know what, I'm going to take that tidbit of information and go dig deeper, right? Because it's not, the gold is never discovered on the surface level, right? The gold is discovered when I get down into the depths. Okay, I'm going to move a whole bunch of dirt before I can get down to the gold. And so what this is intended to do is just to be that guide points to say, hey, look, here's where the gold is. I don't know if it's 5 feet down for you, 20 feet down for you, 100 feet down for you, but this is where it is. And now your job is to start digging. The other aspect of this that you're going to see is that some of you have already had some training. You've already had some mentorship. You've already been pointed in the right direction. You're already thinking in a right manner. And so it's going to come more quickly. Okay. And now here's a truth I want to share that's going to be somewhat painful for some of you. For those of you who this doesn't come quickly to, what that means is you have more to unlearn. No shame in it. It's where it is. It's like, but are you willing to fight through unlearning old habits, past ways of doing things? because you could cling to those things. You could say, no, it's not that I have to unlearn anything. I'm smart. I've been trained by blah. Okay, then hopefully you're exactly where you want to be and your business is exactly where you want it to be. If that's the case, you can go ahead and exit the webinar, right? I'm sharing this because that's where I see a lot of people get hung up. They won't let go of the beliefs and the what they've been taught and what granddad and dad and Uncle Joe told them, right? And when they don't let that go, even though they say they're hearing it, they say they're reading the books, they keep doing the same things in the real world and they keep getting the same results. So if you want something different for your business, if you really want that bulletproof business, a business that can start small, every business does, right? Amazon started in a garage, right? Elon Musk started in an apartment, with a handful of college buddies, right? Like all these things have started something small. Warren Buffett started by getting his family and friends together and getting a whole bunch of people to give him like $5, $7, $10,000. Right? It all starts small. But the reason that they were where they are today is because they took principles that we're going to talk about right now and they implemented it and did them over and over with repetition and they got better at it and they were able to scale and go from a small size organization to medium to large to enterprise scale to global organizations. Okay. I can't take you to the global level. I can take you to a fairly large scale organization. Just to give my background, again, Edward Pritchett, appreciate Mr. Cody Askins and him putting all this together with 8% Nation and everything that he does for the insurance industry. I've been in the insurance industry now for just over 15 years. I've had my own independent agency for the past 13 years. And in that time, I've gone from just being a personal producer, all by my lonesome, just, going out and getting my leads, making my dials, selling, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a week in production, being very excited about that, to running an organization now that over the past 2 years, we did $57 million in 2022. We did $54 million last year. So over $100 million of production in the last 2 years. And this year, we're going to scare the heck out of $70 million of production, I guarantee, based off of what we're already seeing in the first quarter of this year. So I've been able to do that not by myself, but with a team of right now over 1,100 writing agents that are spread out across 46 different states. And I would say not more importantly or most importantly, but as importantly, a team of 18 staff members that allow me to be in multiple places at the same time, that allow me to make sure that people are getting helped and taken care of, that relationships are being built, that forward thinking is happening around finances, that past thinking about like what worked in the past and what didn't work is being analyzed, and we're learning from the past versus just repeating the same thing over and over again. Like those 18 individuals help me to make sure that we can continue to grow and continue to scale. And I can guarantee you over the next 2, 3, 5 years, that 18 number is going to continue to grow. Because when you're trying to build an enterprise level business, you are not going to do it alone, right? If you want to go fast, go by yourself. You go fast, right? You may not go far, but you'll go fast. But if you want to go far, and if you want to go for a long time, and if you want to go really high, you need a team, right? You need a team. And that's what we're going to talk about when it comes to this idea of building it bulletproof. So I'm going to share a slideshow just so that you can see some things, maybe jot it down. I'm going to save just a little bit of time for some questions via chat. All right. So you'll have to kind of type in your question, maybe have 5, 7 minutes here at the end for some questions that pertain to what I'm covering today. As I said, we're going to have future webinars. We're going to try to do this at least once a quarter. We'll get out the information of where you can register to be able to join those future webinars, where we're going to break down the different aspects of how to build your business bulletproof and get more into the nitty gritty and into the detail, and really get a chance to maybe workshop it a little bit, which I'm excited to be able to do. So let me share my screen here and we will jump in and get started. So I believe you should be able to see my screen right now if I'm pretty good at technology. So here's the thing. There are keys, right? There's keys to everything. There's keys that unlock doors. And if you don't have the right key, I don't care how hard you push it in, I don't care how hard you twist it, it's not going to open the door. You're just going to break the key. Okay. And so these are the keys that help you build a bulletproof business. They're not all the keys, okay, but the ones that I think are most crucial right in the beginning to help you get started in a way that will lead to long-term success and help you to weather the storms that are going to happen. And that's one of the things that you have to realize as you're, from a mindset standpoint, as you're starting any kind of venture, is that you're going to have storms. There's going to be issues. There's going to be problems. I don't care what IMO you work with. There is no perfect IMO. You know, everything doesn't happen exactly the way that you're wanting to happen. You're going to have to deal with time lags. You're going to have to deal with contracting errors. You're going to have to deal with commission errors. You're going to have to deal with name it, right? And so if I have a business that's built in this bulletproof manner with an ideal thinking towards how can I be able to withstand the barrage of things that are trying to take me out, right? Like that's what a bullet is intended to do. A bullet is intended to pierce your flesh and take you out entirely, okay? Our ideal here is how can you, again, be able to armor up, right? Be able to resist those when they come, all right? So it starts off with the business owner mindset. And that's why I started that by saying at first, like, there's this ideal that I'm going to start something and I have a system or I have a mentor or I have leads or I have this script and like that's going to take care of everything. Okay. That won't take care of everything if the mindset isn't correct. Okay. We're going to delve into the thought processes and strategies that successful business owners utilize all the time. That's what we'll have to be looking at throughout every aspect of building a bulletproof business, because it all boils down to how am I thinking, okay? This is going to come to time management techniques, how you're goal setting, financial acumen, right? Like you actually have to, if you're trying to make money, you have to learn something about money. And then the art of delegation. So those are going to be kind of the four keys that we're going to be talking about. If you adopt these, you're going to be able to streamline your operations, empower your team, and be able to grow your business to just unparalleled heights. Because people who do this and do this well, they're in high demand because so few people spend the time to cultivate these things, okay? So let's start off with number one. Business owners are strategic thinkers. So what is a strategic thinker? Are you planning for just, especially for insurance agents, are you planning for the commission that you need to make today, tomorrow, this week, this month? Are you looking forward to the next quarter? Are you looking forward to a year from now? Okay. My recommendation as you're first getting started in this business, you don't need to be thinking in the 3-year, 5-year goal, but you need to have an ideal of where you want to be a year from now. You have to have a plan for the next 6 months, and you have to have a very clear schedule for the next 90 days. Start thinking about your business in the terms of a business quarter, right? It gets you to think that this is actually a business versus this is just a sales gig that I'm jumping into and I'm just trying to make some commission right now, all right? I'm thinking strategically. I'm laying plans out, okay? They talk about chess masters are able to see 5, 6, 7 moves down the road. Like I play chess, or I can play chess, but I don't play chess. Like, I'm thinking about like, what's the next, like, does it moves up and to the right or up and to the right? Now I'm just playing the next move, okay? But a master is thinking not just this move, but okay, if I do this, they're gonna do this, then I'm gonna counter here, and then I'm gonna go there, and then, right? They're thinking down the road. So when you're starting in this business, what are the things that you need to have in place for the next 90 days? How does that look in your schedule? Where are the resources, the systems that you need, right? What's the next 60 or the next 6 months look like? And then where is that going to take me if I continue down that path? Where should I be a year from now? And then 90 days from now, whenever I actually do that first schedule, 90 days from now, I get to reevaluate that, make a new 90-day plan, move out like what the next 6 months is going to look like. And then I might be able to reevaluate, man, I could be further ahead than I thought I would be a year from now. So that's thinking strategically. Thinking strategically is really thinking with a calendar in mind. That's the strategy. Like the strategy is the next move. And what next means is that's a movement in time. Okay. So strategy is someone who thinks not in one dimension, but I'm thinking in two, the present and the future, right? I'm planning for that next step. Now, they also understand, this is how business owners think. They have a deep understanding of their target market and industry trends. This is why I love Cody so much. It's because he's putting out information to the insurance world, to agents, to help educate them about like what's going on in the industry. It's why our podcast that the Pritchett Agency does, Life Insurance Today, is about like what's happening in the industry, what's happened in the past, what's happening in the present, and what are some future trends. These are the things that guide business owners to get to that next place. Like if Jeff Bezos had only thought about books, would Amazon be where it is today? They'd probably be the #1 seller of books in the world. But like, are people buying that many physical books that more? Yeah, they are. Like, it's not like they've totally dropped off, but people are buying a lot more on their Kindle and their Nook and everything else. But are people buying a whole bunch of other stuff? Yeah. And has Amazon taken advantage of that? Yeah. So Jeff Bezos didn't think, am I in the book business or I'm in the sales or the ordered fulfillment business, right? And so he started to understand, okay, who is my target? Who's coming to our website? Do they just want books or are there other things that they want? How can we get them those other things? What's happening in this industry, right? And he was able to guide Amazon into the behemoth that it has become today. Business owners are decisive and action-oriented. Decisive and action-oriented. This doesn't mean that I'm making decisions all the time, but when a decision has to be made, I make a decision and I make a commitment to that decision. Decide, like if you go back to the root word of decide, it's to cut away, right? If I'm making a decision, I can't walk both lines. I've cut away one option and I've gone with the other. And that's what it takes to be a business owner. If that's something that you struggle with, where can you find resources? Where can you find counseling? Where can you find support to help you develop that talent, right? What are some little decisions you can make right now throughout your day? Right, this is a weird one. I know, and there's gonna be some people here like, oh, that's kind of weird. It's talking about brushing your teeth on a business owner's training. How about brushing your teeth? It's a decision that you make every morning, right? When you brush your teeth. Some people, it's right when they wake up. Some people, it's like after they take a shower. Some people, they go about an hour and a half, they've had some coffee and do a whole bunch of other stuff, and then they finally brush their teeth. I don't know about those people. That seems a little weird to me, but now I'm a first thing in the morning, right? Like as soon as I wake up, like that tells me I'm awake. And I made a decision, and that decision has now become a habit, right? So what are some small decisions that you can make in your day to start getting you into the practice of being a decider? A business owner is a decider. You're going to be faced with things that somebody's going to put to you and say, do you want A or B? And you have to be able to take the information that you have and make a decision. How can you put yourself into places where you can make more decisions? All right. And this is what we mean by action-oriented. They want to. You have to have a desire to be the person who makes the tough calls. Lastly, as far as the thinking process, business owners prioritize efficiency, right? How can it be more efficient? I always talk about it in the sense of, to myself and my team, effective and efficient, right? I want efficiency, but I want it to be effective. I want efficiency and I want it to be effective. How can this be more efficient? How can we cut out some steps? How can we simplify it, right? The human mind, for whatever reason, especially the male human mind, tries to complicate things, right? We tend towards complexity. We want to make things more and more complicated all the time. So how can I pull that back? How can I say, how can this be more efficient? Because if it takes me a lot of steps, someone who doesn't know it as well as I do, how many more steps is it going to take them? So the more efficient I make any process that I do in my business, the more efficient that I make it for my team. And this is going to come back here in just a little bit when we start talking about the team building aspect, okay? So let's talk about this other key, all right? So we talked about thought, okay? What about our time? What about our time? It's your most valuable asset. It is more valuable than money, okay? Because you cannot, I can get money back. I can always earn more money. I haven't figured out a way to earn more time. So the time that I have is extremely valuable, and I have to look at how I can protect that by being very diligent with their schedule. I've never met a successful person that is not diligent with their schedule. Maybe if they're like at a different stage and like I'm kind of semi-retired and kind of hanging out, they're not as precise about it. But I promise you, when they were going through it, when they were building, when they were growing their entity, they were very consistent with their schedule if they became successful. And here are 4 areas, and I'm trying to keep this thing in 4. So as you're writing this down, okay, 4 areas for your daily schedule that if you do these things, you'll become successful, right? I'm someone who has a structured schedule that is also, looked at by a mentor that incorporates SMART goals, some of the other things we're going to talk about in just a minute. If you do that consistently and do that in a structured and scheduled way, you can't help but be successful because you're doing that universal success principle of managing your time wisely. And that's always going to be rewarded. Okay. Number 1, planning and strategizing. There has to be a time to actually plan out your schedule. The day of is not that time. When I go to bed, I know, like I already know what tomorrow holds to a certain degree. I mean, there's only one that knows everything that tomorrow holds, but I know what my calendar holds for tomorrow, right? So I'm going to spend some time ahead of time. So in my calendar, I have some structured time for planning out my week and make sure everything is lined up correctly. Okay, moving things around when need be. Core tasks. What are those core things, right? We call these income producing activities. Income producing activities. If I'm a small business owner getting started, I need to have a whole bunch of income producing activities on my calendar. So what are those core things that are going to be on my calendar that are going to generate revenue or propel my business to grow? I want to have more of that on my calendar than just about anything else. Communication. This thing right here goes off all the time, but there's only certain times that I can actually answer it. Because if I'm always answering any time that it rings, vibrate, that most of the time my phone is not on vibrate or ring. My wife doesn't like that all the time. We're working on it. I'm trying to figure out like how to just only hers vibrates, only hers rings. But if I'm always being bombarded by this and always, that urgency addiction starts to happen, then all the other things that are supposed to be happening for my business don't get an opportunity to happen. Okay. So there is time for team meetings. There's time for email responding. Okay. I typically respond to emails twice a day. There are 2 times in the day. There's that mid-morning after I've got my first priority things done in the morning. There's that mid-morning time to respond to emails from the day before and the first morning emails. And then right before I'm wrapping up my day. Learning and development. If you're not having that in your schedule, if you don't have time, I talk about with my agents that if you don't have about an hour a day of sales training and an hour a day of system and tools training, which includes products, product knowledge, different types of solutions, like if you're learning about infinite banking or annuities or retirement planning or whatever it might be. But a couple of hours a day, right? And that still leaves me 6 or 7 hours a day to work on core tasks and have a little bit of time for communication, right? But if I don't have that in my calendar on a regular basis, then I'm going to stagnate. And we know what we do with stagnant water. We throw it out, right? All right. Hopefully you don't have stagnant water just hanging out around your house. Like stagnant water gets moved, gets pushed aside because stagnant water is where stuff goes to die. So if I only know what I knew when I got started, I would never get past where I was when I started. If I only knew what I knew when I got started, I'll never move past where I was when I got started. So what are you doing to consistently work on that learning and development piece? And this is personal learning and development. So just personal growth, right? Becoming a better leader, becoming a better person. There's, physical learning and development. Like what are you doing for your body to improve and to get better, to know yourself better? Your sales skills, what are you doing to learn how to sell better? The products that you sell, the systems, the tools that you use, right? All the stuff that's happening with technology, how do you keep up with it? By having this in your daily schedule. So we got daily schedule locked down as another key. Our schedule is done. We're prioritizing it. We're getting it done ahead of time. Now, what can I do next? Now this is, okay, what am I going to set for income goals? We're all building businesses here, whether you're just wanting to be just a solopreneur, personal production, that's all you're going to do. You still have to have a goal if you want to hit something, or you want to build an agency that's doing 10, 25 million, 50 million, 100 million, $250 million a year, right? There are people out there that are doing that. And if they can do it, guess what? You do the things that they do, you can as well. And every single one of them has set some type of goal to get to where they are. And I love the SMART goal analogy, or the acronym, right? Specific. So the S in SMART, specific goal, like it has to be very specific. It's not just like, I want to have a large insurance agency. That's not a specific goal. Okay. How many people are in that agency? What's the volume? How much production do you place every single month? What's your persistency? How much do you earn in renewals? Like, I want to get as specific as I can with the goal that I have. Okay. If the goal is I want to make, and I hear this one all the time, I want to make $100,000 this year. Okay, great. That's a good goal. Now let's get specific. How am I going to make $100,000? Is it $100,000 in commission? Is it $100,000 in advanced commission? Is it $100,000 with 50% coming from life insurance and 50% coming from Medicare? How is that income going to be generated? This is what we mean when we're saying specific goals. You have to give that specificity, that clarity. Brendon Burchard talks about it all the time. Clarity is the number one habit of a highly successful person. So if I'm not going to be clear, then I'm not going to be able to have that strong goal. Measurable. This one's pretty easy. Most people understand what it means by measurable, right? Like, how do you measure your goal? How are you tracking that goal? That's the part that they don't do. Like, they know how to measure it, but then they're not tracking it over time. So if I measure something, it's not just measure once. I want to measure and then measure up until I actually achieve that goal. So there's this tracking aspect to measurability that I have to be able to incorporate in there. So if I don't have systems for tracking it over time, it's not going to work for me. Achievable. Now, the achievable part, I think this is one that all you have to do is just have a mentor, right? You never know what's achievable yourself. If I only went after goals that I thought were achievable, there's plenty of goals that I may have never shot for. Achievable means I have counseled with someone else outside of me. I would not set a high goal if someone didn't say, you know what, I've seen so-and-so over here do that. You could probably do that too, right? Or I get around, I go to an 8% conference, right? Or I go to a SWAT conference, or any of the industry conferences that happen throughout our industry all the time. And I see on stage someone who has achieved something that I want. And then I go talk to them afterwards and say, hey, how did you do that? Do you think I could do that? Right? If I find mentorship, if I look for others who have made it, I don't have to have them write out the plan. I just need to know that it's possible. But I don't want to just depend on me to understand what is achievable. Does that make sense? And I can't see anybody right now, but I'm hoping that you're nodding your head up and down. Like, yes, that makes sense. By achievable, the achievable part of a SMART goal means I have found someone who has shown me that it's possible. And if you haven't found someone or don't know of someone who has done what you're looking to do, I would question whether it's achievable. Right? Now, this doesn't mean, because here's the thing, we're not talking about flying to Mars. Okay? Now, Elon Musk has gotten himself to a place where he can set this, and it's still a SMART goal for him because the dude's building space shuttles, right? He's building rockets that can land straight up and down. Okay, so he's getting some feedback from somebody else. Like, somebody has told him that's achievable. For us mere mortals, where you're wanting to go, there is someone who has gotten there. I promise you, for the majority of you, okay, right? And for the majority of goals, there is someone who has gotten there. And all I need to do is just be able to find that person so I can know that this truly is achievable for me. Now, the goal has to be relevant. What do we mean by relevant? Relevant means that it has to actually go in line with what I'm doing. There are some people who set goals that for their business that, I'm sorry, your business is never going to help you attain that. Like, my goal is for my business to fix my marriage. And those two things don't add up, okay? You got to do some other stuff to fix your marriage. Just having your business work is not going to fix your marriage, okay? So is the goal relevant to the activities that you're doing that are going to lead to you actually being able to achieve that goal? And then lastly, time bound. Okay, and this goes back to this ideal of it being measurable. There has to be an endpoint to this goal. This isn't a like, one day in the far future, I'm going to be XYZ. 6 months from now, 12 months from now. I would really be careful with going anywhere beyond 18 months because just human being, like we just don't really, like we say we think that far, but we don't. I know the Japanese have 100-year, 500-year plans for their companies and businesses, and maybe on that scale you can do that. But for most of us, all right, let's start off with, what am I going to do in the next 6 months? What am I going to do in the next 12 months? What am I going to do in the next 18 months? Because you have to be the one to hold yourself accountable for that. And if you can't feel a little pain that, hey, it's coming up, if you can't put yourself between a rock and a hard place and drive yourself forward, more than likely, it's just not going to happen. And it's not a smart goal. So as you're setting your income goals, make sure they meet this definition of smart. If you haven't heard that, it's right here. You can, you Google that one, it's all over the place, okay? And just think back to what I talked about. Like everybody has their different ways of talking about the specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, or time bound. Okay. But you have to be able to work that out for yourself as you're setting those goals. Does it meet this criteria? Okay. The next key is cash flow. Okay. I've set some goals, trying to build up to build and grow my business. I have to be able to manage cash flow. This is where we start getting into that learning and development piece. Like hopefully that's been scheduled in your calendar and you're spending some time learning about like how to run a business. I know MBAs that don't know how to run a business, okay? Just because you have an MBA does not mean you know how to run a business. I know people who have no high school education that are amazing at running a business because they learned from people who ran amazing businesses, okay? Stole this image from Business Made Simple. Thank you, Donald Miller, but I'm giving you credit. I'm not making any money off of this, so hopefully I can use it and you're okay with that. But in Business Made Simple, it's a micro MBA course. So if you haven't heard of that book, excuse me, if you haven't heard of that book, you can pick that one up. That's one to add to your development schedule for being a business owner. But cash flow is what drives your business. In this example, cash flow is the fuel. Okay, cash flow is the fuel for your business. If there's no cash flow, you don't really have a business. Okay. When we talk about that movement of cash in and out of your business, we want it to be this flow because, again, if it just gets there and stagnates, that doesn't mean your business probably isn't growing. Okay. There's income, there's expenses. If I want to get the income to grow, I'm going to have to use money and purchase some expenses that lead to me generating more revenue. And this is, it's a simple ideal, but if you really start thinking about your business in the terms of what does the cash flow look like? Am I getting a good return on everything that I'm putting out? This is where it leads you to learning about a profit and loss statement and a balance sheet. And again, there's going to be future webinars where we're going to go deeper. But for this one, is just to give you the general ideas. You have to go and do your research, do your study. But the key ideal here is cash flow. If you can't explain the cash flow for your business, if you don't know how the income that's coming in is being generated by the revenue that I'm spending, and I can't put some kind of multiple on that, like if I spend $1,000, how much is going to come back in? If you don't know that for your business, you don't have a business yet. Doesn't mean you're not starting. It doesn't mean you're not moving towards that. But that's how a business owner thinks. They know that if I'm going to spend $1,000 on this marketing campaign, I need to see a 4X return. I need to see $4,000 come from that $1,000 that I spent. Maybe it's, I need to see a 10x return, but they know what those numbers are. And that way, whenever they're putting money out, if they don't see the right money come back, they don't keep putting money out, because what that ends up leading to is if I keep putting money out and cash flow is the fuel for my business plane, and I keep putting it out, but I don't have anything coming back in, right? Like I don't have that refueler plane flying above me, connecting the hose and refilling my plane up. What's going to happen to my plane when I run out of fuel? It's going to crash and burn. So cash flow is king. It's the lifeblood of any and every business. And understanding what's happened with your cash flow is what makes someone a successful versus an inept business owner. If I can't explain where the cash is flowing, I don't really understand or know my business. So spend some time and just getting to know and understanding what that means for your business, delving into books and knowledge around that ideal. And then this is where this ideal of financial literacy comes into play. If I'm a business owner, I have to be able to actually understand finance just a little bit. You don't have to be a Wall Street whiz kid. Okay, that's not what we're saying. But I need to understand principles of business. Now, here's the thing. If I only want a small business and just want to be a solopreneur, I want to stay in the, as Robert Kiyosaki talks about, I'm going to stay in the self-employed quadrant. If that's all that you're wanting, then you don't have to go too deep into the financial literacy. No, you just have to be able to manage your business, make sure it's profitable and that you can pay yourself enough to meet the needs that you have. But if you're wanting to scale, if you're wanting to grow, if you're wanting to build something that produces on multiples of what you're putting into, then that's where financial literacy comes in. So I've already mentioned business made simple, but you need to be looking for tools. You need to be looking for resources, books. If you're in debt, right? If you have debt, what are you using to help yourself get out? I can remember back to 2012, 2013. I don't agree with everything Dave Ramsey says, but when it comes to how to get out of debt using the debt snowball, I'm spot on. That's how I got out of debt the first time, right? Then made some mistakes and then had to do it another time, right? So it's learning these things in order to be able to really manage a business and grow it and be a good steward of that financial resource, that cash flow that's going to drive and make your business thrive. And this last bullet point I want to mention down here too, you can have two checking accounts. I know there's some funny jokes out there, like you can have two and a savings account, right? You can have two checking accounts, and you have to have two checking accounts. If you're going to build a business, you have business expenses and you have personal expenses, okay? As soon as you can get to where you don't see business revenue as your personal income, you can actually start building a business. The longer you see all those commissions coming in, especially if you're getting override commissions because you have an agency, the more you see that as your income, and that's just what you live your life off of, the longer you go without having a business. And eventually it will fail. It will collapse on itself because the business needs cash flow. The business needs that lifeblood for it to thrive, for it to keep going, okay? So these two, between cash flow and just general financial literacy, spend some time during your personal development time, during that scheduled time, to really work on and learn these things to help you get better. And you don't have to be, again, you don't have to know it all overnight, but you got to start somewhere. The last thing that I want to talk about as far as the key is something I'm working on and I'm developing, kind of bouncing off in my head. I'm going to switch up this next slide I'm going to show. There's probably some of you purists out there that would be like, that's just wrong and I don't believe it and this and the other. But I'm going to show you a hierarchies chart. And, you know, I used to have this ideal of here's what a business hierarchy is. You know, it's the CEO, the owner, and then, you know, all these people underneath them. And that's how most businesses have traditionally worked and operated. But I'm starting to come to this realization that a business is less of this hierarchical structure and more of a nexus. Okay. And a nexus, when you think about it, you know, it's like a neural net. A nexus is this point, okay, that is cross-connected by so many different connection points. And all of it, when it's working smoothly, funnels information to the right spot. Okay. And I'm starting to see the CEO or the visionary of a business as more of this nexus, this point in the nexus, really, not the nexus, but a point in the nexus. And that person, he or she, is connected to the entire organization. And especially for we as small business owners, when you first start your business, you are every point in the hierarchical table, right? Like you're the janitor, you're the financial officer, the COO, the CEO, chief marketing officer, chief strategy, like you're all of them, right? And the only way I'm going to be able to grow it and do more is when I can start splitting off parts of what I do and let others help me, but it still all has to flow and function and revolve through that point within the nexus. Okay. And that's why I just don't think it's just this, I'm at the top, and like, if I'm at the top, I'm thinking everything's supposed to flow up to me and I just flow things down, but that's just not how business works from what I've seen. It's much more organic about that. You know, I want people on the sides and on the bottoms to be able to communicate where they need to. There's still structure in that. There's still pathways that we follow, but it's much more organic than this pyramidal shape that I think most of us are used to seeing. So in order to create that nexus, here are the two things that you have to be able to do. You have to love the system and not the job. We all know what job, you know, or been told what job stands for, right? The just over broke joke, right? There are jobs within a business that have to be done. And in the beginning, I have to do those jobs. But it's not about the job, it's about the system. It's about the system that I'm creating. And if I love the system, then I'm creating something that it doesn't require me. I see people get so stuck on this one aspect of their business that they have to do. They'll never relinquish it to anybody else, right? And then that becomes the place that holds them back from being able to move forward. So loving the system and not the job is key to be able to create your nexus. And then desire someone who can do it better. I am always looking for someone who can do something better than me. I do not have to be the expert. I am totally okay. I want to entirely replace myself in every aspect of my business if I possibly can, as soon as possible, and in the most effective and efficient way, right? But I have to have that desire. I can't think that, well, I know better. I'm smarter. I've done this longer. Well, that's going to keep you working a whole bunch of jobs for your company, a whole bunch of jobs for your business. And eventually it's just going to leave you by yourself, being that solo entrepreneur if you were thinking that you're trying to build a business. So in order to create this nexus, you have to be able to do those two things: loving the system and not the job, and wanting and looking for, desiring, making that a strong passion to find people who can do it better than you and celebrate them for doing that. And I'm so glad you're here, because I was horrible at doing that. You play that like like Kenny G plays a saxophone, right? Like that's who I'm looking for. I'm over here just beating up the saxophone, and you play it like Kenny G. I'm looking for the Kenny G's, right? So this is just an ideal of what that new accountability chart looks like in my head for my organization. The visionary, that's you're there in the middle. I have an integrator who I actually put the integrator above me. All right, I put the integrator above me. The integrator is kind of wraps around, kind of bookends the entire organization. For me, there's conversation with that integrator. That's, some people would call that the COO, Chief Operating Officer, right? Then you have someone who's maybe managing operations, the day-to-day. You have marketing and sales, especially in what we do, like who's doing the marketing. Again, in the beginning, all these positions are you, but like eventually, like who's doing the marketing, who's running the social media, who's actually doing the sales on a regular basis. Maybe that's your independent agent. Maybe you have W-2 agents working for you. Who's handling the finances? Accountant, bookkeeper in the beginning, maybe, and then eventually a chief financial officer, right? And then those people are going to have people who are helping them do their jobs better. The marketing team might have one person that does social media, one person that does email marketing, one person that does recruiting marketing, one person that does client marketing, right? But all these, and some of the lines, have got to find a better way to be able to visualize this. But even those folks that are down there in those functionary roles, they should have lines feeding up to all the other parts of this organization too, because that's how organizations that are being truly successful run today. Communication is shared, communication is open. There's something that's happening in finance that somebody in marketing may need to learn about. My staff has a level 10 meeting every Monday. Everybody is on it. Every different branch within the organization gives out their reports of what's going on and what's happening. And while sometimes, yes, it can get to where it's like, oh, that's boring. I've heard about this part of finance before. Sometimes there's something that's said that's like, oh, you know what? I need to connect with them because there's some cross interaction that needs to happen here that's going to help the organization. And so again, thinking of it as a nexus and not just this strict hierarchy chart can be very beneficial to how you start to not only build your team, but now how you start to, as I said, I'm going to love the going back. I'm not going to love the job. I'm going to love the system. So if I love the system and I'm building this out, what am I doing whenever I'm the one in the marketing role? How am I creating a system and a process so that when I bring somebody in, they can go and, again, play it like Kenny G plays the saxophone, right? How can I build out a system for this particular job so that when I bring somebody in, they're able to go and really flesh it out and bring out the nuance that maybe I couldn't do because that wasn't my skill set. And then that allows me to be that visionary that's coming up with ideas, that's working on the relationships, that's keeping the culture of my business intact, that's developing leaders, that's making sure that cash flow is being thought about, not just by the finance department, but within the entire organization. All right. So to kind of recap, like going back over this, if we were to say, okay, what are those key things? Okay. And let me stop the share here for a second. What are those key things that as I'm building my business, I'm going to be able to really make sure that it's going to take me to that next level? And these are the things, like I said, these are waypoints. These are paths that I'm wanting to point you to. And so just to go back over them real quick, first key, you want to make sure that you understand the mindset that you need to have as a business owner. And if you're unsure of what that mindset looks like, refer back to the notes from this, or again, find a mentor and a business owner who has been successful and say, how do you think about these things? Okay. So mindset is number one. Time is number two. You have to be able to protect your time. If you don't have a structured schedule, then you're not bulletproofing your time. Okay. Your schedule should be set ahead of time, right? Not the day of. You're late. Okay. Income goals, they have to be SMART. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. You have to have those. If you don't have that as your goal, then it's just not going to happen. You have to understand cash flow. This leads to just being someone who has been a student of business and learning and understanding financial literacy. Especially for you as an insurance agent, that's going to help you with your clients. The more financially literate you are, the better you're going to be with the clients that you work with on a day-to-day basis. And lastly, if you're wanting to be able to expand out of your business being just you, right? You're the end all be all of your business. If you want to expand out of that, then you have to look at what is that overall hierarchy that you have. How are you structuring it? And for me, that's how am I building my nexus? Right? How am I building that interconnected web of people that's going to take our business and just expand it out, expand it out, expand it out, and make it a nexus? And this is why I like the nexus idea. This is what makes it bulletproof, right? You can take out a small link in the overall World Wide Web, but you take out one link and it just gets rerouted and gets there maybe a little bit slower, but it still gets there. Right? Like it's hard to take down an entire nexus. A hierarchy, I just shoot the person at the top of the hierarchy and then I can destroy the hierarchy, right? If I want it to be bulletproof, I want to build it in that nexus way. All right. So I'm going to open it up. If you do have any questions, I'll maybe just answer a handful. Let me share one more slide about what's coming up next. But if you do have any questions right now, throw those into the chat and I'll come back after I share this. So this is what we're doing next. If you want to, you can get your phones out, scan that QR code right there. if you want updates from myself and my organization. But we're going to be launching a webinar, like I said, once a quarter. So this is Q1 of 2024. So we'll have one coming up in Q2, Q3, Q4, and then we'll wrap this up in Q1 of 2025. But we're going to cover in our next series, I'm going to have my COO on with me. We're going to cover operations. I'll have one of my financial officers with me for finance, my marketing team, talking about marketing and what that looks like and how we build things out within that. And then last but not least, business analytics. How am I tracking? How am I keeping up with the things that I do and what's happening in my business so I can improve at them over time? So these are the 4 upcoming webinars. If you, again, scan that QR code, register for the updates there, you'll be able to get an invite to join that. You can register there. And then, right before those webinars happen, you'll be getting a notification of dates, times, the links for the Zoom, and you'll be able to join us. And I'm really doing this primarily because I see in the insurance industry, we just don't treat our businesses like businesses. And if more of us did, man, the independent channels would do so much more volume than we do. The reason that I think that at the last look that I took in the Treasury Department report on the insurance industry from last year, that right now, about 87% of insurance premium, and remember, this is over $1 trillion a year in life and annuity premium that flows to insurance carriers in the United States. 87% of that came from the captive world. Only 13% of that came from the independent market. We can do a lot better than that, a lot better than that. And there's so much opportunity in that for each and every single one of you. All right. So let's see if we have a couple of questions before I close it out here this evening. And again, just really give a lot of thanks to Mr. Cody Askins for just giving me the opportunity to share with you all. So that just, I can't be more grateful for him for what he has been doing. All right, so I'll take maybe about 5 minutes. We're almost at the top of the hour. I told Cody that I'm going to keep this one to an hour. Last time we went a little bit long. I just started answering a whole bunch of questions. Some of the quick ones that I'm seeing, are the webinars free? Yes. There's no charge for the webinars. You sign up for the updates in our newsletters. We'll send that out to you, and there is no cost for the webinars. This webinar was about 6 months too early for me, and that's fair enough, right? Like when you're first getting started, the first focus that you should put on is being a solopreneur, right? Like you just need to get out there and just produce, start making some income, learn how to sell an insurance policy, okay? But I'm glad you got this in the back of your mind, right? Because there will come a time where you'll be able to use that this knowledge and this information as you desire to build up a business. Are you really writing 55,000 a month? So much income about being so busy. Yes, there are some months that I have written 55,000 or more in personal production. I have a production assistant that I work with that's called, again, you can leverage how can you be more effective and efficient with your time. And there are some parts of reaching out to clients that I don't have to do. Okay. So when you're making income, if I'm going to spend some revenue to cause more revenue to come into me, then I'm going to do that. And so if I can have appointments that are set up for me, I can spend some very specific time talking with clients about things that I already know that they're looking for. And then we come to a conclusion. We fill out an instant decision app. Most of the business that my organization writes is simplified issue, instant decision. We use fully underwritten IUL, participating whole life stuff for our more advanced cases. And that's the other thing that drives the volume that I do is like on a regular basis, I do, $1.5 to $2 million worth of annuities in a given month, as well as some very large target premium IULs and participating whole lives. And so I probably spend in a given week anywhere from 15 to 18 hours a week on personal production. And the rest of my time is devoted to agency building and running the other companies that I have currently. Let's see. What if person learns? So the question here, what if a person's IMO is so dedicated to their system and not open to anything outside the company when it comes to leads, training, and company model? What I would say is if you are truly in an independent marketing organization, right, you're 1099, there's legal flexibility for you, right? So I'm not telling anybody, if you love what your IMO is doing, you love certain aspects of it, having those conversations with a fellow business owner and talking with them about, hey, here's what I'm looking to do. I want to commit to the system. What I tell my agents as they join my organization is learn our system and get results within our system, then go and innovate to your heart's content, right? But if you can't show your business partner that you get and you're getting results from what if they're getting results and they've already proven that their system works, then you can't really question that until you're getting results from what they're doing. Now, once I'm getting results from the system that has been proven, and that depends, like, is the system proven, right? Like, are you seeing people getting results and can you duplicate what they do? If you're able to do that, now you get to have the leverage to be able to say, okay, now I want to be able to innovate a couple of things. I want to be able to try this, to try that, as long as it works within that model. I haven't seen many IMOs that aren't open to helping their people who are getting results do exactly that. Go out and innovate to help and grow the company. Do you have trainings we can sign? Yeah, the trainings, like I said, if you, I'll put that QR code up before we wrap up here, but you can sign up for additional trainings. Go to Life Insurance Today on YouTube. I typically put out something at least once or twice a week, things that I'm thinking about, things that I'm researching and learning. Also, of course, Instagram, the Edward Pritchett, the Pritchett Agency on Instagram and TikTok as well. So if you want to hear more of what I'm learning and what I'm discovering myself. Again, I don't claim to know everything about this industry or in this industry. I just continue to be a student of the industry that we are in. Top 5 business books. I won't give you 5. I'll just give you I'll give you 3. Business Made Simple, which I've already talked about. I really, really love the 6 Habits of Highly Effective Successful People. High Performance Habits. Sorry, at the end of the day, I'm starting to lose my train of thoughts, but I have it sitting right behind me, so that makes it easy. High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. Definitely one of the top ones there. And then this one, I prefer the audiobook. There's a 2.5 hour audiobook that Tony Robbins does of the Awaken the Giant Within. The full book is just like this huge tome. And I've never really known someone, like maybe someone read the whole thing, but his 2-hour audiobook of it is an amazing condensement or condensation. Condensation even sounds kind of worse, but he condenses down the whole Awaken the Giant Within into something very digestible and actionable. So that's one that I don't recommend a lot of books from an audio standpoint. I really like to read my books, but that would be one that those would be 3 that I would recommend. Mentors, like this ideal of paying for a mentor. Like I've had people approach me and say, hey, look, I'll pay you to mentor me. I hate to say it, but like there's not really enough money. Well, okay, no, I won't say that. Not that there's not enough money, but like the people who need that mentorship are not in a position to pay the amount of money for, hours of mentorship. Mentorship is really finding someone to follow. It doesn't have to necessarily mean that you're having one-on-one conversations with them all the time, that they're checking everything that you're doing. Like accountability partners don't have to be mentors, okay? Mentors are people who you're looking at and can have visibility in the things that they do in order to win, and that you're able to then copy those things. Now, it is great when that mentor is maybe in your organization and you can get on the phone and bounce some things off or say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Do you see anything wrong with that? But like that's what a real mentor, like I consider Tony Robbins a mentor of mine. I've never met Tony Robbins. I only listened to him. But he's a mentor. Like I see what he's doing. I see how he's built his businesses and organizations. I do a lot of research and I pattern a lot of the things that I do after him. Right. John Maxwell is a mentor who luckily I have had the chance to actually meet and to be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, John, great to talk to you, like once. But he's still a mentor to me in leadership. Right. And I'm learning and growing from that relationship, even if it is at a distance. So I don't think you necessarily have to pay someone for mentorship. It's about how you view and see them, and are you willing to commit to letting their life be a mentorship guide for you. Now, then on the other side of that, you still do need to find those people who on a regular basis that can hold you accountable to the decisions that you make and to what you say you're going to do. So looking for accountability partners, whether that's within your organization, a partner or just a friend who's in the same business and you can hold each other accountable. That's the other thing that will help finding a mentor, whether it's a near mentor or a mentor at a distance. That's what will help make that mentorship relationship that much stronger. Okay. What can you do on a budget for leads? Alonzo, I'll say on lead budgets, that's going to be, get with the group that you're working with, see what they have and really kind of talk about, one, what can you spend? And then whatever it is that you can spend, it's like, how hard are you going to go to work on those leads? I always encourage people, if I can't spend a lot and I have to get age leads or older leads, make sure you're doing some sales training. Right. I recommend NEPQ, Jeremy Miner, amazing sales training that he has available. But you have to be able to get the most leverage because most people don't start off having been trained in sales. So spend some time doing some sales training before you just dive into your leads, right? Like work on your business so that you can work in your business. And then to kind of develop that leads budget over time. I mean, I know agents who spend $10,000 a month on leads. I know agents who spend $2,000 and get similar results. Really good agents who spend a lot more on leads have more opportunities and typically close a lot more. How can a captive agent take advantage of this information to build a true business? I mean, that's the thing. Like if I was a captive agent for 2 years, and as hard as I work for that captive organization, I'm not bad-mouthing captive organizations. I think they do an amazing job in many ways. It's why so much volume flows through them. And it's a great career path for many people in the insurance world. You're never going to fully own your business as a captive agent, right? Even your book of business when you retire, yeah, contractually, they are supposed to give you the renewals and this, that, and the other, but could that change while you're in retirement? Yes, because it's not technically yours. Even ours, as independent agents, we are bound by contracts too, and those contracts can change as well. So I can operate my business as best as possible as an independent agent and have some level of ownership. And you just have to look for those places within the captive world and within what your contract allows to build your business. The principles, though, are the same, right? The principles about cash flow for your organizational structure within a captive agency, like that's still the same. Like all the other principles, like I have a lot of good friends who have either State Farm, Farm Bureau or agencies, and while they're captive, they still are business owners, right? They just have a little bit more constriction around the contracts that they have with their carriers to what they can and can't do. So you can use all these principles whether you're captive or independent. It's just a matter of thinking, how does it work for me based off of my contract? So yeah, I think that's about it. This recording will be available after this. You'll be able to receive it either by, and let me go back and share that QR code one last time as we wrap up. But here's the QR code. You can sign up and follow for updates. I know Cody will be sharing this through his social media platforms. We'll be sharing it on ours. We'll make it available. All I'll ask you to do, as we share, as we put stuff out, like it, share it with someone. Like, again, I really am in this. Like, I want to see more people be more successful in this industry. right? There's just so much income to be made. There's so many families that we can help by doing what we do, right? There's so much more education about financial health and financial awareness that we are the people who can bring that to the masses. And so we need more successful insurance agents, health, life, PNC, and I know this information will be beneficial. So if you know other agents, guys, I'm not doing this to promote me. Like I don't, you don't need to work with me. You don't need to do anything. You just need to go out and be successful. And if this can help you or help someone that you know be successful, and I know this applies to other businesses as well. So share this information. Let somebody else know. Just, like they don't have to watch the whole thing. Like watch 5 minutes or something. I don't know. But like do that, and I'll be definitely grateful, because I know the more that I've found that I have been able to give, not just in this industry but in general, the more that I continue to receive. So I appreciate you all for being on. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for all the love. Again, thank you to Mr. Cody Askins, his beautiful wife, for what they do to enable something like this to happen. Share this, like it whenever we put it out there on social media, and I look forward to seeing many of you on our deep dive webinars, the 4 webinars that we have coming up over the next 4 quarters. Sign up. I don't know if we're going to be able to have it open to everybody in the world. We'll see how many people sign up. But I really want to make those into very much workshop type environments where we can kind of share and talk and have a conversation. So again, appreciate it. Have a great rest of your Monday night or evening, and have a fantastic week. Thanks, guys.
Hey, if you enjoyed this,
I got another one you're going to love.
it's right there. Click on it.
See you in there.
I'm so excited for today's CA Power Player podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. We got a special guest. He is back on the channel talking about how to sell life insurance from home. Here's what I love about this person. Yeah, I'm telling you, this will be one of the best.